Welcome to This Week in High School Sports. I'm Teresa Whipple, and Steve, it's our last show of the season.
It is. State finals have wrapped up. We are all done with sports this year, and it's time to say goodbye, I guess, after this.
It is, and we want to thank our sponsor, Red Onion Burgers, and Sean Richards. Thank you for your support, and go have a burger, have some fries, have a shake, Steve's favorite, or if you're a state champion, you can enjoy whatever you'd like there because you'll get filled up.
A celebratory meal.
Celebratory meal, yes.
And we've got a few of them that are able to celebrate. We had 4 state champions over the weekend, representing 3 different schools too, I might add. So just to run over those real quick. Allie Eli from Edmonds-Woodway, she is a state champion in the pole vault, 12 feet and 6 inches. Allie finished 8th last year in this event, so congratulations to her. 2 different Mount Lake Terrace javelin throwers winning state championships. Brandon Bach, the sophomore who was just in studio not too long ago, he had a throw of 187 feet, 10 inches, so he picks up a state title. And then one of his high school teammates, Matt Guardiano, won the ambulatory athlete state championship with a throw of 91.2. And then also Harris Cutuk from Lynnwood, who we're going to interview here shortly. He won the discus state championship at the 3A level with a throw of 171 feet, 5 inches. Harris was 3rd place last year, so we knew he'd be in contention, and now he's got a title to show for it as well. So congratulations to all 4 of them.
Yeah, and we do have some other performances to talk about too.
Yeah, before we get any further into track, we want to mention some of the other sports. Soccer, Mount Lake Terrace, so close to making it to the state title game. They played a full 80 minutes, and then they played overtime. Still 0-0 with East Valley, a school out of Yakima. They go to penalty kicks, and they lose 11-10 in 11 rounds.
Ew.
Unfortunately for the Hawks, they also lost the 3rd place game the next day. So they're going to take a 4th place trophy home. But again, this is a Mount Lake Terrace team that up until last year hadn't been to state in over 20 years.
Yeah.
And last year they were out pretty quickly at the state tournament. So for them to get 4th, especially with a little adversity late in the season, it's a huge, huge honor for them. So congratulations to them. Baseball, we talked about the Edmonds-Woodway Warriors last week.
Yeah.
They also made it to the Final Four. They get to Safeco Field, a huge honor in itself.
Yeah.
They lose to Gig Harbor on Friday night. They also lose a tight one to Mercer Island, 2-1 on Saturday. So they also take home a 4th place trophy. And then softball, we had 3 different teams make it to the state tournament. And on Friday afternoon, we were starting to think that this could be a special softball weekend for us here in the Edmonds School District. Mount Lake Terrace, Meadowdale, and Edmonds-Woodway all winning their first round matchups, all advancing to the quarterfinals in their classification tournaments. Unfortunately, things turned rather quickly after that. They all lost 2 straight games in a double elimination tournament. So none of those teams taking home trophies. But again, to get 3 schools from the same school district into the quarterfinals, heck of an accomplishment for them. And then we want to mention a couple other sports too. Tennis, Jeremy Ansdell, we've talked about him on the show before, and we had him in studio back in the fall. He wins his first round matchup, the Mount Lake Terrace tennis player, so he makes it to the quarterfinals before being eliminated. We also want to mention golf took place over the week, and unfortunately, not as many golfers with strong finishes from the Edmonds School District. Frances Monahan from Edmonds-Woodway, the top finisher, and she took 30th in state. So again, a lot going on this week. And certainly we want to congratulate all of our athletes, whether you won state championships or didn't even make the cut or the finals in your sport, still a lot to be proud of, and very well done.
Oh yeah, just getting there. I know
it's a hard accomplishment.
It sounds like you're kind of just trying to make light of it, but the truth is, just getting there is quite an accomplishment.
Thousands of athletes participating on 65 plus teams in each classification. Yeah. If you're still performing on that final weekend, you've done something special.
Yes, you have. We have some more track to talk about, right?
We do. We're going to run down a few other numbers here real quick. Edmonds-Woodway, their girls took 5th in the state overall as a team. Yuki Parle, who we've talked about on the show before, won the state championship last year in the 3200. This year she takes 2nd. 2 of her teammates, Olivia Meter-Yetter took 8th, and Stephanie Robluski took 9th. Also, a Lynnwood athlete took 3rd in that same event, so I will mention her in a few minutes because we're going to talk to her. But so 4 of our girls in the same event finishing in the top 9. That's outstanding.
That's great.
Bernice Keys for Edmonds-Woodway, she took 2nd in the discus. I think just missed the championship by about 2 feet. Also took 7th in the shot put. Olivia, who we just mentioned a minute ago, she also took 6th in the 1600. Matthew Park, talk about a heartbreaker here. Matthew misses a state championship by 5/100ths of a second in the 1600. He also took fourth in 3200. And Matthew's been a friend of the show over the last couple of years, and want to congratulate him on a nice finish. Two other members of that Edmonds-Woodway squad that have also been on the show. Aaron Richardson took 8th in the 300-meter hurdles, and Hannah Hicks took 7th in the high jump. So congratulations to them. And then we've got Lynnwood. We want to mention a few of their athletes as well, as Emily Smatlack, who was in here not too long ago, 5th place in the javelin. Eli Edwards, 7th in the hurdles. Jerry Pham, 11th in the long jump. Jacob Laban, 12th in the shot put. And then Connor Bjornsson, 13th in the javelin, and he's only a sophomore. I saved 2 other girls who we haven't mentioned yet because they've had very special careers and have accomplished so much. Rita Sakharov and Malia Pivec were in studio earlier today. Rita, placing in the top 8 in 3 different events. She took 3rd in the 300 hurdles, 4th in the 100 hurdles, 8th in the 100 meter, and then Malia was 3rd in the 3200 and 5th in the 1600. So many accomplishments, so many medals for those 2 over the last 4 years. Had to talk to them one last time. So here's the interview we did with Rita and Malia. The state track and field championships were this past weekend, and with us right now, 2 Lynnwood Royal seniors who have had outstanding careers and also did very well over the weekend. Rita Sakharov and Malia Pivec. Rita, 3rd place in the 300 hurdles, 4th place in the 100 hurdles, 8th place in the 100 meter, and then Malia, 3rd place in the 3200 and 5th place in the 1600. Ladies, congratulations.
Thank you.
Not a bad weekend at all. Tell me a little bit about it, Malia. First, we'll start with you. You're the distance runner here of the 2. A hot weekend, which doesn't make things easy for distance runners by any means, especially when we've had kind of an inclement season this year, a lot of rain and maybe colder temperatures than normal. How was the weekend for you?
1600 temperature was cool. It was more towards the evening. It was about 5 o'clock, so I wasn't impacted by the heat at all. The 32, I was just focused on not so much my warm-up, but keeping my internal body temperature cool. So I had an ice pack on. Lori Edwards gave me a mister, which was very kind of her, so I was misting myself. Michaela was pouring water on my arms, so it was just keeping my body cool.
It's like you had your own pit crew.
Yeah, exactly.
Very nice. Rita, what about you now? For the shorter distances, is heat as much of a factor, or is it over so quickly that it doesn't really matter?
Well, most of my warm-ups I have to do dynamics and over the hurdles and stuff, and there wasn't that much shade, so the turf was kind of radiating the heat up. So it was a little bit difficult, but I didn't have to run 2 miles in the heat, so I was very thankful for that. And they had cold towels at the end, so that was really nice.
Very good. Now, before we go any further, and I mentioned this to both girls before we started the interview, going to have you rattle off your previous state performances too, so we can kind of get a gauge as to how far you've come and where you've been. Rita, I'll start with you. Tell me a little bit about your history at state for track and field.
So freshman year, I qualified for state in the 300s, but I didn't make it to finals, and then our 4x4 placed 8th. Sophomore year, I ran, oh goodness.
And we do have Malia the encyclopedia next to you here, so Malia can help you out.
Malia.
300 meters.
300 meters,
Placed
3rd, thank you.
So 3rd place, I should mention all 3 years, right?
Yes, 3rd place
Sophomore
all 3 years.
year.
I did drop my times each year, so that was good, but 3rd place each year. I didn't make it in the 100-meter hurdles that year, sophomore year. And then we took, what did we place in the 4x2?
4x2 didn't make it to finals, so
4x2 didn't make it,
15th
and
or
then
14th.
4x4, we ran. We won state.
How can you forget winning state, right? That's a big deal. That's very nice.
And the years all blend together. It's been such a long journey. It's been amazing, but it's been long.
Well, it also shows that you've had quite the distinguished career when you've had so many different accomplishments you can't even practically remember them all, right? That's kind of a nice problem to have. Most of us don't even know how to relate. But
yeah, junior year, placed 3rd again in the 300s, 5th in the 100 hurdles. We didn't make it to finals in the 4x2, and then we placed 2nd in the 4x4. And then this year, like you said, 3rd in the 300s, 4th in the 100s, and 8th in the 100 meter.
Okay, and then Malia, what about you?
My freshman year, I placed 10th. Well, it wasn't placing, but everybody ran the final in the 32. So I made the final. And then the next year, I came back, took 2nd in the 32 and 4th in the 16, right behind Michaela. And then last year, I took 2nd in the 32, didn't make it to state in the 16. And then this year, I took 3rd in the 32 and 5th in the 1600.
So now I think the one thing that I am noticing as I'm hearing you talk about previous years, the one thing that seems to be missing this year are the relay races.
Oh yeah, I was part of the relay my sophomore year, but I wasn't supposed to be. A girl broke her foot the previous week, so I was put in as the alternate.
Sure, but the fact that you didn't have any relay races this year, is that correct?
No, we didn't.
So in some ways, does that make it a little bit easier for you, knowing that just a few less events for you to focus on? Were you able to kind of maybe focus more specifically on what you were doing because the relay races weren't a part of it this year, Malia?
Usually I wasn't a major part of the relay, but I loved cheering them on, so it was kind of disappointing that we didn't have any girls relays because it was fun. After the 32, 4x4 would follow, and so I'd sprint across the field cheering for my teammates, and it's a team event that just provides chemistry coming together, so it was kind of sad that we didn't have strong relay teams.
And Rita, what about you? Now, you didn't do relay this year, but you certainly kept yourself busy running in 3 separate events.
Yeah, so my shift, Lewis, since after Coach Lewis just put me in different events, so I didn't necessarily cut things. I just kind of shifted my focus, but it was heartbreaking because last year we had such great team bonding for the 4x2 and the 4x4, so it was kind of hard to come back knowing that I didn't have those girls with me anymore, but I kept myself busy.
And we should mention, too, last year as a team, you finished first. The girls won the state championship. Is there a little less pressure this year, Malia, knowing that maybe when you were coming into the weekend, you were competing maybe more for yourself a little more so than team? I know you're still a team and you still wanted those points, and you finished 8th this year, but knowing that a state championship was potentially on the line last year, did that add a little pressure to you going into the
For
weekend?
me, it didn't add any pressure because we knew that in previous years, teams had scored so many points, like over 100, Kamiakin the previous year, but the teams were more spread out, and they had the individual state champions, but not really any depth. We knew we had a shot, but with the 4x2 getting disqualified at the start of the meet, that kind of shot our hopes, but everybody picked up the slack and contributed, and we won a state title. But this year, taking 8th with 3 girls was pretty cool. We lost our 2 highest point scorers last year, and Joe and Mick, so that was, we knew it was going to be a challenge.
Sure. Now let's go ahead and go through the races a little bit. First, we're going to put a picture up here of Malia. This is you at the starting line for the 1600, correct?
Yeah.
So this is a race you finished in 5th. You finished in 3rd for the 3200. Were you okay with those places? I know, again, 3200 is an event that you've obviously competed at a very high level over the last few years. Always coming so close to winning the state, but not quite getting it. I mean, what is that like? Are you still proud of your accomplishments, or are you still a little bit disappointed that maybe it wasn't better?
I hold myself to a really high standard, so I'd say yes, I'm disappointed, but I'm happy with how I raced. I thought I raced a smart race this weekend, so I was happy with it.
And in the 3200, you took 3rd. We should point out Yukino Parl from Edmonds-Woodway took 2nd. And last year, you two were 1st and 2nd. So, boy, the two of you have had some epic battles over the last few years, whether it's at state or at districts or at Edmonds School District championships. What's it been like for you to compete against her over the last few years?
I know she finishes really well, so if I could just hang to her the last 100 meters, I knew I would finish with a great time. But this year we had Jordan Oakes, and we knew she was kind of going to be the front runner, and she led the pack for most of the way. So it was nice to finish right by her side again.
Very good. And then Rita, again, 3rd place, 4th place, and 8th place this year. We have a picture of you we're going to put up on the screen here, too. Getting a hug from a young lady who looks familiar to us because she was just in studio not too long ago. Tell me a little bit about this picture here.
This was right after the 300 prelims, and she was warming up for her 200.
And who is she?
This is Ella Spillane.
There we go.
From Woodway. And she was just warming up for her 200, and she saw me, and she just ran up and gave me the biggest hug of the biggest smile, and she was like, "I'm so proud of you." And it was just so great to have that moment, and it was just like a moment of relief, and I was just so happy to see her. So.
Now, again, 3rd place, 3 years in a row in the 300. How are you feeling about that? You did mention that your times have gone down each time. So really, as an athlete, especially for track, that's about all you can hope for, really, right? I mean, you can't really control the external things and who's fast and who's not. But how are you feeling about those finishes?
So originally, I wasn't super pumped that I got 3rd because I was like, oh, 3 years in a row. But my coaches came up to me after the race, and they were like, yeah, but that was a PR. So as soon as I heard those words, I was like, oh, then I'm fine. Like, I don't care. It doesn't matter as long as I ran my best race. That was the most important thing to me. So I was just happy that I ran my best, and I mean, 3rd in state is pretty darn good, so I'll take it.
PR stands for personal record, so her fastest ever. And then this year you're in the 100 meter for the finals too. That's kind of a new one for you, right? I mean, I know you've run it in the past, but to to qualify for the finals, that had to be a big accomplishment for you. I know
Yeah.
you're used to having hurdles in front of you, so
It was actually, it's funny, the first time I ever ran the 100-meter, I felt it was weird to me because there weren't any hurdles there, and I was almost expecting them for them to be there. So it was kind of like the first half of my race was weird because I was waiting for the hurdle to be there, but it wasn't there. So that was a little bit of an adjustment this year to kind of run that 100 without anything there. But I mean, it's a really quick race. It gets over really fast, and it's just fun. I like it.
there we go. So a big weekend all around for a lot of folks at Lynnwood. I'm going to put up another picture here too. We should probably talk about a few of your Royals teammates. Who are we looking at here? She looks familiar. I think we just had her in studio about a week ago, Malia.
Yeah, we're looking at Emily Smatlack, and she took 5th in the state for 3A girls javelin. She threw 122, which wasn't her personal best of the season, but it was one of her higher throws. And she had a clutch third throw that got her into finals in 118, and she was the only thrower to improve after her first 3 throws in the finals. So I think a few more throws, and she might have popped one.
There we go. And I know when we were talking to Emily, I think it was a week or so ago, she mentioned she wanted to kind of move up the podium a little bit. So congratulations on the 5th place finish. We also have a state champion who we're going to talk to later on in the show here. But is it exciting for you when somebody like Harris Cutuk goes out and wins a state championship? I mean, what's it like as teammates when you're watching your fellow teammates compete? And Rita, do you guys get excited when you see those accomplishments take place?
Definitely. I mean, it is a team thing, so he's a part of our team, and it's just exciting for everybody to see them do so well. And he's worked so hard all these 4 years to get there, and he deserves it, you know. It just feels so good, even for me, to see him get that, and he's come so far, so I'm really happy.
And Malia, the human encyclopedia of Lynnwood track and field. Talk about some of the other participants at state and what it meant to see them do well.
Well, Connor Bjornsson, he made it to state in the javelin this year as a sophomore, and that's pretty unheard of in the throws. And I think he took 13th. Jerry Fahm also made it to state in 3 events, in the guys 4x1, in long jump, and he didn't make it to finals in long jump, and then also in boys 100-meter hurdles, 110s. He didn't make it to finals, but great experience for his junior year. Going to come back strong next year. And then 4x1 made it state 4 guys: Alex Nguyen, Jerry Fahm, Devin Boss, and who's the 4th?
No, she's doing this without any notes too. I'm
Yeah.
impressed.
Jerry, Devin.
Yeah, Henry Shaw's an alternate. Alex Nguyen?
Tyler Dow.
Yeah, Tyler
There we
Dow.
go.
Tyler Dow.
He's a second leg.
Nice assist. We like that.
Thank you. He's part of the hurdle gang. And they ran 6th in their heat. I think didn't run their best time, had a little mess up on the handoff, but they ran a great time to get into the state meet, so they should be proud. Jacob Laban, he threw the shot. He threw 47, I believe, and it wasn't his best throw of the year, but one of his higher ones, so I think he should walk away with no qualms about that.
I have a feeling anybody who's watching this right now is thinking the same thing I'm about to say. You sound like a coach.
Thanks.
Is this something you want to maybe pursue in the future? I mean, obviously you've got a little bit of college to attend to first, but would you think about coaching in the future?
Maybe in the immediate, not in the immediate future, but further on in my life.
And then we should also mention Rita. We had Jerry Pham in here a few, I guess it was about a month or so ago, and he mentioned that as far as the hurdles are concerned, you're kind of the mother hen of the group, always kind of keeping everybody on task.
Yeah.
What about you? Would you consider coaching later on down the road?
Possibly. I mean, I'd like to see. Lynnwood hasn't had that many hurdle coaches in the past, at least in my 4 years. I mean, I've had help, obviously, but not like a strict hurdle coach. This year, we had one of the coaches was Anna Sturdiment. She came and helped us out. She definitely did help us improve. You can ask any of our hurdlers. We've learned so many new techniques from her that I never even knew. But yeah, I mean, I could probably in the future I see myself coaching. So.
Speaking of coaching, Joyne Lewis finally retiring this year after 51 years. We were kind of talking about this last year, thinking that maybe Coach was about ready to step down. He came back, I think, primarily for the two of you and a few of your teammates. But what has Coach Lewis meant to this Lynnwood program over the years?
He's built stability. The consistency that he has is just phenomenal to be here for 51 years and have so much success. I know there was a few dry years where he didn't have maybe the athletes, but he continued to persevere and just waited it out. And it's cool to see. We got a state title last year, sorry, for him. And this year he had another state title with Harris, so it's a cool way to finish.
So having been in the program for 4 years, not just Coach Lewis, but I'm sure there's other coaches that have been influential to you as well. I know Stephanie Tostad, for one, who Who do we want to mention here as far as the coaches are concerned and what they've meant to you as far as personal growth and what you've done on the track?
Coach Zach Taylor too. He's the sprint coach that we have, and he's been phenomenal. My starts are always been kind of rocky, so he's definitely helped me start better. He always pushes me to do my best, so he's one of my favorite coaches too.
Yeah, and then Steph, she's my head coach for cross country too. She's really embodies a coach. She's so supportive and energetic, and she's the only one I can hear when I can hear my dad too, but many of the athletes say she's the only one I'm able to hear out of the thousands of supporters. You can hear she'll say a code word or she'll say arms, what to focus on, and she believes in you when you don't believe in yourself, so she's awesome to have.
And speaking of supporters, you mentioned your sister Michaela Pivec, who was the state champion last year in the javelin, came back and was supporting you this week. And I understand JoJo Edwards was also over at the track. What did it mean to have those two athletes and maybe some of the others that were around this weekend, Rita, supporting the team?
It just brought a new excitement because I loved the girls. They're so supportive. They've always been there for us. And it's just amazing to see them come back, even though obviously they don't have to come support us, but they choose to because they know how much it means to us. So I was just really excited. The moment I saw both of them, I was like, oh, you guys are back. Like, it just was a breath of relief to see them back there again. And it felt like last year, so it was really nice.
And Malia, did I see this right? I didn't ask you this before we rolled here, so I'm kind of throwing you on the spot, but you sent out a tweet recently. Did Michaela throw like the 4th longest throw in the javelin in Oregon State University history?
Yeah, she did.
And she's not even is she even on the track and field team? I didn't know she was even participating in track and
She
field.
picked up a jab for the first time in like 12 months, right? Maybe 3 weeks after basketball season, and she's just so used to going like go with all her sports seasons that it was just weird to have a downtime. So she didn't want to regret it in her later years that she hadn't done track and field. Picked it up, threw for about 3 weeks. Her first meet through 134-ish, and then a second meet through 142, which was big, and then made it to the Pac-12s with that.
Okay.
So that was awesome.
Nice little hobby to have on the side as a true freshman, right?
Yeah, I was proud of her.
I bet you were, and I think she's probably proud of you right now, too. So college coming up now. Where's everybody going, and what are we going to be doing in college? Rita, I'll start with you. Where are you heading off to?
I'm going to Northern Arizona University.
And you will be participating in what?
I will be doing track there, and then I'm going for a psych major.
Okay, very nice. And we should mention Caprice Boston,
Yes,
basketball player
I'm
from
excited.
Lynnwood, also going there, so you'll know
Yes.
somebody down there.
Yeah, it's weird because normally with going out of state, normally only you don't get that many people, but having someone like Caprice be there, I'm excited to go to college with her.
And then Malia, you're also going out of state, but not quite as far. Tell me about where you're going.
I'm going to Boise State University. That's in Boise, obviously.
The Broncos, huh?
Yeah, go Broncos. And then I'll be running cross country and track there.
Okay, they've got a nice little pipeline going. I know Matthew Park, who barely missed winning a state championship for Edmonds-Woodway this year by 5/100ths of a second.
Yeah.
Also heading to Boise State, so best of luck to you there. And then as far as the summer, is this the time now where you just kind of let your bodies relax, or are we already starting to train for college? What's the game plan this summer?
There's no time to relax. I don't want to let my body lose shape, especially for college, because college is so much more pressure and stress, and they'll work you harder. So I don't want to go into that season not ready. So I'm gonna take a little break just to let my body heal a little bit, because it's been a rough season for me with injuries. But yeah, no, there's not really any time to rest.
Sure. And Malia, what about you?
I think I'll extend my season a little bit with a few all-comers meets at the shoreline track. So continue training, probably take a week off after I'm done racing if I feel my times have got down low enough.
Well, you've also got graduation coming up, so you've busy couple weeks coming up, and then certainly after that, it's on to the summer, and then off to college for the two of you. Malia Pivec, thank you very much for everything.
Thank
Rita
you,
Sakharov,
Steve.
thank you. Very successful careers for both of these young ladies, and we look forward to seeing what they can do in the future.
I know I've said this before, but Rita and Malia are just so poised and articulate, and every time we've had them in here, they leave and I'm so impressed.
It's always a fun interview, and for me in particular, getting to know those two girls a little bit. It's funny when I start prepping for these interviews, for Rita and Malia, I don't even really do much beforehand.
Yeah.
I just know the conversation's going to flow rather easily, and sure enough, it was what it was again, and always nice to have them in here.
Yeah, I wish them the best of luck. I mean, their college careers, I'm sure they're going to do great.
I have a feeling we haven't heard the last from them either. They're
Uh-huh.
very connected to this community, and I think we'll be talking to them later on down the road.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. All right, and so now we have a state champion to talk about.
We brought a state champion in, and a state champion who, as you'll hear in the interview, A very interesting way of celebrating last night. Well, I'll save that for the interview here, but here is Harris Cutuk, who is your new 3A discus state champion. The Lynnwood Royals have a new state champion in track and field, and he's with us right now. Harris Cutuk, a senior who threw the discus 170 feet, 5 inches over the weekend. Congratulations, you are a state champion. How does that sound?
I don't know. It hasn't hit in for me yet. It probably will in a few hours, but I don't know. I'm still me right now. So
yeah, we should mention we're filming this 24 hours after you won the event, so it is rather new to you still,
yeah.
But certainly not a big surprise. You took third in this event last year. Your throw was about 6 feet shorter, and I've got to think that for somebody like you who finishes third, knowing that you're coming back the following year, does it give you that much more motivation to get ready and try to win the state your senior year?
Most definitely taking third. All I could think of was moving up from third. I wasn't taking anything below, or I wasn't taking third or anything below. So I wanted to be first.
So now expectations coming into the season and into the state tournament, and you and I were talking a little bit earlier. Athletic.net is the website now that everybody keeps using to kind of gauge themselves against other performers in the state. Yeah. You kind of knew you were one of the top 1 or 2 there, and you had to know that you had a good shot at this thing. What were you thinking coming into this weekend? Did you think you had to get a certain throw to win the championship, or were you kind of looking at certain competitors and keeping your eye on them? What was the atmosphere like?
Well, I definitely knew that I had to be above 170. I wanted to beat my PR that weekend, but I mean, unfortunately, it didn't happen. But I'm still happy that I at least got back into the 170s, like 4 weeks down.
And go ahead.
And like, just looking at athletic.net, you know, it didn't really matter that somebody was 2 feet above me. It didn't really matter that I was third. I was just thinking, you know, I'm top 3 in the state. I'm gonna make it, you know, and you know, I was just really happy that where I was placed, and that's all.
Well, take me through the event itself. When did you get 3 attempts at the throw? When did you actually throw the 171?
Well, I've been known to do my best in my first 3 throws, and my first one was 163, and then my second throw was my 171.5, and yeah. After that, you know, I just started trying to kill it, which was like, I have a tendency to do that, which even my coach tells me, you know, just get a 70% throw in, and then after that, you know, just give it all you got, try to beat that PR, because you got nothing to lose. At
that point, how many throwers were coming up behind you? When you went into your third throw, did you kind of have an idea that you were probably going to win the state championship at that point, or were you still a little nervous about it?
Well, I had a pretty good feeling that I would win, because it put me into first, but I mean, there was 4 more throws after that, and anything could happen in discus. It's not like a running event where you see somebody's ahead and you can see like somebody else catching up to them. It can happen in a split second.
Sure. Yeah. Now this is a 3-day state championship event. It starts on Thursday. Your event wasn't until Saturday. It was right around 11:30 Saturday morning when you started this event. What were those 2 previous days like? I mean, at that point, are you just ready to get down there and get it over with? Are you relaxed? There's got to be a lot of time to kill there too. Take me through Thursday and Friday and what your preparation's like up to that point.
Well, the reason I went down so early is because I just needed the team bonding to help me throw better. I knew that one of my main characteristics is that I need to be happy to throw. And, you know, my dad making it down there from Arizona and my girlfriend making it down there, too, to watch me, it just it lifted my mood. And also spending the 3 days with my teammates, just, you know, having fun. We all my teammates brought their Xboxes, so we just hooked up on the hotel Wi-Fi.
So you were keeping really relaxed and just playing video games. Well, and let's talk a little bit about your teammates. In particular, we already had 2 of the girls in earlier who are part of the running team, but throwing events, real strong Royals team this year. We already showed a picture in an earlier segment of Emily Smatlack taking 5th place, but you also had Jacob Laban, who took 12th in the shot put, and Connor Bjornsson, who took 13th in the javelin. What's it like to have them on your team, knowing that you're not the only thrower down there?
Well, it definitely keeps, like, it doesn't make me feel isolated, you know. You know, before the previous years, it was, you know, I felt kind of lonely just being the only discus thrower that would, you know, progress. And just having them be there with me, you know, it feels like you have a family with you. And it really just lifts your spirit up a lot more, and you're able to cheer on other teammates than just runners, you know.
So now when each of you is throwing your individual events, they all happen at different times. Are you actually right next to that person kind of giving them support? Is it just more moral support? Are you coaching them a little bit? Do you guys kind of give each other pointers or something you might have seen in each other's throws, or what's the camaraderie like in that regard?
Well, for Connor, I definitely thought he was more of a discus thrower at the beginning of the year. So I like to coach him on discus a lot. Jav, I mean, I told him what I knew, which was like, you know, get that hip into it just like discus. And at the state meet, I would just you know, reassure him, like, you're a sophomore going into state. That means a lot. It doesn't matter where you place. It just means, you know, you're going to be one of the top people in state. And for Jacob, you know, just a hip rotation and all that. I try to coach him up on that too, and it seems to lift his spirit too when he throws. Just to know that somebody's on his side, you know, just trying to help him throw better.
Mm-hmm. And Malia Pivec, when she was in here earlier, pointed out to me that you're winning the state championship this year means that Lynnwood has now won a state championship in some way, shape, or form in track and field 3 consecutive years. And when I pointed that out to you before we started rolling the camera, you told me you think there's going to be another state champion next year.
Yeah, definitely Connor Bjornsson.
So you think Connor's capable of winning the javelin next year?
Yeah, I better make it.
There you go, Connor. So look out.
He's about to hit 170 this summer.
Well, that'll be good. So we will see if the sophomore can do that. As far as you on the track, you also keep yourself pretty busy by working a lot. Matter of fact, as soon as you're done with this interview, you're heading off to work. Tell me a little bit about balancing work and track, because it sounds like you even work quite a bit during the week right after school. So how are you, in fact, able to do this?
Well, so my schedule is always 3 o'clock to whenever we finish. And after school, I usually get about 20 to 25 minutes of practice, and then I spend the last 5 minutes to go home and get my work stuff and head off to Everett. And it's really just...
You get out of school at what time?
1:50.
So you get out of school at 1:50, you have to be at work at 3, and somewhere in there you're getting track in.
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting.
And it's just like a time struggle. You know, most of the time, the first 20 to 25 minutes is me doing standing throws. And that's one of my major struggles this year is that I can't practice my spin very much. And my spin is what I needed to work on. And that's what Saturdays and Sundays would be like with Rich and Rudis.
Mm-hmm.
That would help me a lot. You know, I'd be waking him up at 9 a.m. Saturdays and Sundays, just having him throw with me, teaching me. And it was really nice having him there because he's the type of coach that it's not like, oh, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong. It's like he would make a joke about it and make you laugh about what you did wrong.
And Rich, I should point out too, is not a Lynnwood coach. That's a separate coach you're working with outside of school to work on your throws.
Yeah, we meet up at Shoreline, and I'm pretty sure he's coached a few other Lynnwood throwers too, like
Okay.
Malia.
You're keeping yourself extremely busy then.
Yeah.
Speaking of coaches, and I know I asked the girls the same question earlier. Coach Lewis, retiring after 51 years. Tell me what the relationship with you and Coach has been like.
He's been like the quiet coach, but like he's always there, you know, to push you, and he has a signature little yell like "Hey!" I can't recreate it, but he'll be you just know he's coming when he does that scream, and so between me and him, you know, I have a strong love for that guy. He's just always there, and I always know that he believes in me because he's always coming up to me, telling me that I have what it takes, you know, and he's always keeping me updated from the pre meetings before practice.
Mm.
And you know, at state when I won the title, he hugged me and he said I'm his last champion, and then, you know, I started getting that little quiver in his voice and the little tears starting to roll. And I was like, just come on, Coach. And then I hugged him.
Well, that is pretty neat because, I mean, again, this is a guy who's been in the sport for 51 years, and now and he's a legend in the sport. Now you get to be the answer to a trivia question. You were his last state champion.
Yeah.
Kind of a neat feature there, too. Hey, big senior year for you all around. back in the fall, you're on that football team that made state for the first time in 22 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And now you won a state championship here in the spring. Have you had a chance, I know it just happened here, but are you starting to get to that point now where you're kind of reflecting on everything and taking it all in, and what has it all meant to you this year?
Yeah, I mean, looking back at it, is thinking that my high school career is over. It really hit me like a week or two after football season. I was like, wow, I'm never going to play football again. I mean, unless I go to college for it. And then now track, I'm definitely going to pursue track. I know that track is something that I love a lot, and, you know, it's something that I'm good at, so why not? And, yeah, it's really depressing knowing that I'm not going to be with my teammates that I've been with like since elementary school, middle school, the people that I grew up with, and knowing that we're all going our separate ways, basically.
Sure. Speaking of going your separate ways, so where are you going next year?
I'm going to UW, University of Washington.
So University of Washington, and not necessarily for track at this point, but maybe?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
Yeah. I'm talking to the throwers coach, and I'm hoping to walk on.
Okay. Throwers coach, if you're out there, he just won the state championship. I think you might want to take a look at this guy. And yeah, so it sounds like you're keeping yourself busy again, just getting ready to graduate. And the final question, and one I probably should have started off with during the beginning of the interview, but I think this is a fun answer. You won the state championship yesterday. Did you go celebrate?
Yeah.
Yes and no, right?
Yeah, I went to Denny's with my dad and my girlfriend, and then right after that, you know, I had a big meal. Saturated fat makes you tired. So I went home. I sat on the couch. I was in the middle of a conversation with my sister, and my eyes just started twitching and about to close. And my sister's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I wake back up, and then next thing you know, I'm out for like another 4 or 5 hours.
So if you think that adrenaline would kick in and wouldn't enable you to sleep after winning the state championship, apparently you're wrong. If you're Harris Cutuk, you just go ahead and fall asleep right in the middle of conversation with your sister. So hey, again, congratulations! What a fantastic career! Not just what you did yesterday at state, but throughout the last 4 years. Harris, it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck to you at the University of Washington, and yeah, go ahead and go out and celebrate this weekend. You're a state champion.
Thank you so much.
Really impressed with all that Harris has been able to accomplish between work and school and winning a state championship. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing when you stop and think about it. This is a young man who's been accepted academically to the University of Washington, and then he's able to go out and win a state championship and work practically full time. It's quite amazing, and couldn't be more proud of him.
Yeah, really great for him, and good luck to Harris and all the others that we've interviewed. And speaking of scholars and athletes and others who we've interviewed, that's a good segue to the annual Edmonds School District Scholar Athlete Banquet, which is held every year, and they honored 17 athletes, and we figured we had how many of those on the show?
14 out of the 17 have
Wow.
actually been in studio in the last 2 years.
Pretty incredible. So we're going to run through really quickly the winners. These are students who have been chosen both for their athletic accomplishments. They have to play at least 2 sports or more, and their academics as well. So let's start with the top 2 winners out of that group. And on the left is Kendra Cooper, and on the right is Kia Mackey. And Kendra is a volleyball, basketball, and softball player, and Kia is track and field and soccer. And both of these young ladies, I don't even know how they sleep at night, because they probably don't sleep much, because they are so involved in the community as well.
Well, Kendra is involved with a lot of physical therapy, and Kia is also the ASB president.
Right.
So they're very
Oh,
active.
yeah. I mean, the resumes are incredible. So, and let's move on to the next group. These are by school. So the rest of the winners from Edmonds-Woodway, from top to bottom there, we have Abby Culver, Sam McLuhan, and Brandon Mitchell. And then we move on to Lynnwood. The top from left is Eli Edwards, and to the right is Taylor Fahey. And then on the bottom, we've got Riley Walsh on the left and Wolday. Steve, did I get that right?
Wolday, yep.
Yeah, okay. That's always the name that you usually pronounce. And then from Meadowdale, we have on the top from left, Brooke Hoppy, and then Lena Osterberg. And on the bottom, Zach Plummer and Drew Tingstad. And then finally, from Mount Lake Terrace, on the top, Mika Diaz, and on the right is Adam Lorraine. And on the bottom, Jessica Ong and Daniel Smart. Just a quick note, the reason why Kim Stewart, the athletic director, looked so short in that picture is Mika was a little smaller than he was, just put it mildly, so he bent down so they'd both get in the picture. Kind of clever on Stu's part there. All right, so we are done with that, and we're done for the year. Any final parting thoughts?
No, it's just been a real exciting year. And the fact that we ended the year with those pictures of those scholar athletes, which is really what it's all about.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned a minute ago, 14 of those 17 have been in studio. And what we've enjoyed about having them in here, as well as some of the others, not just the athletic accomplishments, but some of the other activities they're involved with, whether it's schoolwork or in their community, just makes me proud to be part of this community and proud to be a part of the show.
Yeah, I agree. And we hope you've enjoyed our year of bringing you the outstanding athletes and teams in the school district, and we look forward to seeing you again in the fall. So have a great summer, everybody.